It is. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Show and Tell Show. This week, we've got Nicole Jackson over at Penetanguishene Centennial Museum and Genevieve Carter from Huronia Museum, me, Nahani, from Huronia Museum. And we're missing Jan this week. She's off, and so a big shout out to Jan. Hope you feel better soon. And last week, Penetanguishene Centennial Museum, you challenged us to bring out our favorite artifact. So since you challenged us, you go first. What have you got?
All right, so I kind of cheated a bit with my favorite artifact because I say that the building is my favorite artifact because I am inside an 1875 general store. So this is a historic building here in town, and it was part of the Seebeck Manufacturing Company's lumbering business, and they built their general store and their lumber office right here back in 1875. And it is now the oldest general store still on its original site in Canada, or in Ontario. And it might be one of the oldest in Canada, but definitely in Ontario. So yeah, so that's why I was always what we think is one of the things that's very unique about our museum. I even have an old map here. And in the map, you can see all of the Beck holdings that used to be here back. This map is from 1901. And then this little yellow dot right here, that is the museum building, which was the general store. And it always gives people a really good idea of how much lumbering, like you try to tell people when they visit here and imagine how much of the surrounding area was lumbering. And then when you show them this map and you say, we're standing in this yellow dot here and all of this is lumbering, it kind of gives them much more of a perspective of how big the lumbering was here in this area. But this general store right here, I'm in the actual general store part with the original countertops, the original shelving. We have the original cash register right over there. A lot of the items in here, have been donated over the years, but our cans back there are not original, but we do have vintage labels on all of the cans up there. And your general store was your original hangout space. That was your original Tim Hortons of the day. That was a place that you came to get your gossip. It was the first place that had a telephone. So we have a telephone on the side. It was your first post office, so we have some post office slots here. It was the place where if you were a farmer, this is where you would trade. So this is, you would trade for your butter and your eggs so you could get goods. And this general store was built here with Charles Beck, because he did have shipping. He had boxes that he made that he shipped to England, and he could then ship goods back here. So it was a way to get some of those extra fancy items that you would not be able to purchase in town. And it was part of the long-standing trading, that we've been doing here for hundreds of years. So that's my artifact.
Wow, that's a big one.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. So just a little bit about the cans on the back. They're not original. They're replica. You did them?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, people always ask them that they're original, but no.
Okay, this shows the museum person that we are. I'm like thinking the amount of research that went into brand, like checking out brands and dating them, and because anachronism is not what we do. Yeah, awesome.
Not old timey.
And it's those little details that are just so important to us when we do exhibit stuff, right?
And there's a really neat, it's so small you can't see it, but even how they would used to wrap all of, the gifts and everything. There's a string that goes all the way up to the top and up around and down here.
Yeah.
And then we have the piece of paper here on the side here that they would roll out, and it has the thing to break, to the scissor kind of blade on it to cut it. And then you're using this string, and it's just those little details that when people come here, they can kind of stare at the wall forever, seeing all the little things that we have behind here. And we have it on both sides of our general store. The other side's more of our fancier fancier items, more of our china and our hats and our purses and our clocks.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, Genevieve, what do we have from Huronia Museum?
I have an artifact that's quite a lot tinier. It's about 3 by 4 inches, and this is a May 13th, 1932 photograph that was probably taken up at a resort called Franceville. It's about 8 miles north of Honey Harbor. It was owned by the France family. They had immigrated to Canada from England in 1887. They were working at a resort on Lake Ontario when the sons of the family realized the potential for opening a resort on Georgian Bay. And so by 1890, they built a small building which they called Mrs. France's boarding house, and that was in 1890, and continually enlarged that building until it became this one right here, Franceville, in 1910. But this is our favorite artifact because it is so silly. There we have Mrs. Cora France. She was the second wife of Clifford Stanley France, and unfortunately we don't know the name of the dog, but he is rowing a canoe on the ice. That's a considerable feat. And yeah, it's just a great photograph. It's just so silly. For the most part, we have a lot of photographs of pets in our collection. Maybe not necessarily the pets on their own, but the pets with their families. Usually the dog is being posed, and you'll see the tail end of a cat, or else the cat will be clutched by a child really tightly in its arms. Anyway, this is just a great photograph. Unfortunately, for the most part, we do not have the name of the majority of the pets that appear in our collection. But it's a great photo. It just shows a lot of, I guess, the sort of antics that went on at a lot of the resorts, because when people would go away for a holiday, they generally try to have a good time. So there was lots of silly things going on, lots of bathing and overloaded rowboats and that kind of thing. But yeah, so this is what happened in the off season. And what's interesting is we have a lot of ship's logs as well, and it's kind of neat to see over the years how long the ice would stay on the bay, because the shipping season wouldn't start until, for the most part, a lot of the ice had been chopped up and started to blow out or float out of the bays. But so by May 13th, 1932, there was still a lot of ice on the bay up north of Honey Harbor, and so that would delay the shipping season. So there we go. Thank you, Cora and Unidentified Dog, for your fantastic photograph.
That really is one of our favorite things at the museum that we like to drag out and show people, because like if you got an Instagram account or Facebook or whatever, everybody's got their dogs posed in some position, putting hats on them or anything, and we think this is all new, but and we can take like a million photographs with our phone until we get the right one, but that took some effort.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I mean, the effort to have that posed, and then you're waiting, for, it's not like you can instantly look to see that it worked or not.
That's true. That's true. I wonder how many others there were. I mean, he's even got his little paws on the handles of the oars. It's not like,
I know,
he's
it's
just
like sitting there, like he's actually rowing. Yeah.
Putting in the effort.
And we know there's no Photoshop, although in the last one you told us there is a bit of Photoshop that used to have.
There was, yeah.
You could tell.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Okay, so next week, I don't know if you knew this or not, it will be June the 2nd. Is it June the 2nd next week?
Yeah,
sure.
I think, yeah, it's going to be June next week. Yeah.
Yeah, June the 2nd next week. So I don't know if you knew this or not, This is a tough one. Are you ready?
Okay.
It is National Rotisserie Chicken Day.
Oh, goodness.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
think we should have to bust out something that has to do with chickens, because chickens, come on, we've all got something to do with chickens in our collection some
Yeah.
way. So for National Rotisserie Chicken Day, we're going to
pay
do a chicken
tribute.
challenge.
Okay. Oh, goody.
Okay.
I know, and this is what brings out those
Day for
artifacts. You know, we don't get them out
everything.
very often, those weird ones. Anyway, because I'm sure we have something. I'm sure we all have something. Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. That's the show and tell show for this week, and we'll see you all next week. Something to do with chickens. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.